Welcome back to Open Window Politics. Today we're going to be doing a prediction between the current governor of California, Governor Gavin Newsom on the Democratic side, versus the current vice president of the U.S., that being J.D. Vance, on the Republican side. So these two individuals have, at the moment, are largely viewed as the most likely respective nominees for each of their parties. And we still got quite a ways out before 2028, so a lot could change. We could definitely be looking at an entirely new array of candidates by the time we get closer to 2028. But for now, these two are looking like possible contenders for their party, and I thought it would be fun to do an election prediction between the two. So I'll start out in Nevada and in the East. I'm going to put Nevada. I think Nevada will be one of the easier states for Democrats to win in 2024, or in 2028, sorry, as far as states they lost in 2024. So in 2024, Trump was able to win Nevada, which is an impressive feat. He even lost it in 2016 when he was able to carry the Rust Belt, and that led him to the presidency. But in 2024, Trump was able to win the state, which was a bit of a shock, and showed that there were possible signs of certain voting demographic groups moving towards Republicans. However, since then, we've seen those trends largely reverse. We've seen pretty consistent good election results for Democrats in these special elections, and we'll have to see what happens during the midterms. That can be a real guide to see what 2028 could bring us. But I do think, especially with California proximity there for Newsom, that Nevada would be a state in Newsom's column. Arizona, I think I would be more confident in putting that into J.D. Vance's position, into his column. This state, I think, it'll be interesting to see what a Republican other than Trump can do throughout the swing states, but I think Arizona will be a particularly interesting case. The state did vote for Trump in 2016 and 2024. Biden won it in 2020. So they have been known to vote for moderates of both parties. The state has 2 Democratic senators as well as a Democratic governor, so definitely not shy about voting for Democrats. On the presidential level, sometimes that can be a different reaction. However, I think I'm going to put the state of Arizona into J.D. Vance's column. I think he would do well enough to win the state. And then I'll head over to the other half of the Sun Belt. In Georgia, I'm going to put Georgia into Governor Gavin Newsom's column. The state has seen some good election news for Democrats and results since 2024. The state also went to Trump in 2024, however. Biden was able to win in 2020, so it's gone back and forth. Both Georgia, North Carolina, Michigan, and a couple other states, a bunch of other states, have a Senate election coming up this November in 2026, so that can give us an idea of which way the state is leaning. At the moment, I think I feel more confident in putting Georgia into Governor Gavin Newsom's column than and then I'll put North Carolina into J.D. Vance's column. So that is going to be, we're pretty close to a tie, 248 to 246. Already mentioned the district here in Nebraska. That is going to be in the tilt blue. That district even went to Harris in 2024, so not too surprising that it would remain in the Democratic Party's column. And then we get to the Rust Belt. That will really be the factor to determine the presidency. So I do think, as far as Newsom's best hope at winning a Rust Belt state, I think that would probably be Wisconsin. So I'm going to give that to Governor Gavin Newsom. And then as far as Vice President J.D. Vance's best hope at winning a Rust Belt state, I think that would probably be Pennsylvania. And that really just leaves the state of Michigan as the tiebreaker for who would win the presidency. And I think just with the national tide favoring Democrats pretty heavily and consistently, that it would result in a Democratic victory. I think it's also very likely Democrats could win Pennsylvania too. These 3 states are inherently swing states, so they will go back and forth. Generally, they vote together, like I mentioned, and I do think it's a more likely situation that the 3 Rust Belt states all vote Democrat, than they all vote Republican, at least at the moment if the election were to be held today. But that is going to leave us with 273 to 265 with a victory for Governor Gavin Newsom. Don't forget to like